All right, my friends. Hello, hello. Hello to the eating peace experience, people, you wonderful inquirers. Okay. So, just a couple things on my mind based on a few things that people have shared this week in the group, and then also a wonderful question from one of you about trust. Um, First of all, Teresa was sharing in the group about how she had something appear that was stressful. Looking at email, finding out that there was paperwork that was missing on something with her daughter and an application. Now, that might seem like, in the big scheme of things, not something super threatening, but there's definitely kind of a loss or a worry or something around, just noticing, oh no, oh no, and the images that go with it. But what I really love that she shared is that she just went and laid down, and she didn't think, I better go lay down or have that. It's just what she did. Why I think that is so powerful and important. And also, Laura, you shared that you were watching yourself decide to make a piece of like a change, something important happening, with the plan for a day, and saying 3 meals a day, nothing in between, and then watching yourself get anxious about that and want to dropping it. You do not have to do that. So they're similar. It's the idea I absolutely have to do XYZ. Often there's an enormous list of that kind of thing before we even get to food. It has been in our minds before we even, as children even, before the thought of food or eating ever enters our experience, the process, and what we have to do there. It's like, I have to be nice, I have to say I'm sorry, I have to be kind to other people, I have to not raise my voice, I have to be respectful to my parents, I have to never talk back. These are just some of the things that were rules in my family. At the dinner table, you had to eat at least a minimum of 3 bites, and they'd watch you and count it unless you did. Now, you didn't have to eat the whole thing, but there was just rules. There was rules about this, and really nothing wrong with guidelines and rules. I always think of the traffic light. We're often very happy. Red light and green light is there. Nothing to do with fairness, lack of fairness. It's just there offering structure. But there is a place, so there's a place for it. And like speed limits and, that kind of thing. Letting somebody tell us from the outside how fast to drive in this area because they've done the road before. They've been on this road, and it's just the rule. And then you can get fined, have a punishment in a way if you potentially the risk of that if you don't follow the rules. And that's fine. It just works the way it works. And noticing that we want some sort of inner experience of watching the thing that comes up that says I have to, and knowing that we're free. We're free to, we don't have to. No one has to do anything. You kind of don't. It's just watching what the consequences are. And some of them are imagined. If I don't, I have, for example, I really liked doing the work on I have to work. I have to go to a job. I have to get a job. I have to get a job. And it seemed by all situations, if I want to keep my house, if I want to keep my car, it's like 15 years ago, I do have to get a job. And it's getting to be a quote unquote emergency. I'm going to foreclose on my house. I'm going to lose everything. I've already lost so much, and I'm going to lose this final thing. It seems true. But when I thought of that in a very, very frightened, terrified way, I will lose everything. And I had this picture of what's the worst that could happen. And it's me living in my mother's basement. Often with food and eating, there's what's the worst that could happen. We're the size of a whale. We can't even get out of our house. We're so huge. We're just spending all of our time eating and eating and eating. Or we'll never have that experience of joy of being in the body, or we'll never see ourselves with ease or with love or loving kindness. Or anyway, it's just watching the worst that could happen. Everyone will reject us. People will say mean, awful things to us because of how we appear and how we look. They'll judge us because of our weight. So we won't. And if they're judging us, why is that a bad thing? Great to find your answer. Sometimes I can't find anything more of it. Like, let's say that they judge me and I'm not, they say, yeah, too old, too flabby, too uninterested, don't like it. Why is that bad? How could it be a good thing that some people eliminate me from their interest based on my appearance? Why could that be a good thing? I can find it. I can really find that. Okay, so don't want to lose my train of thought. So here, the I have to perspective. It's requirement, otherwise or else, worse, terrible, worse than it is already. That is a fantastic thing to question. That's basically what I have to say about that. When you have the idea that I have to do anything, so Laura, you were sharing, then you have this new, I'm going to eat 3 meals and nothing in between. And I don't know if you experienced this for sure, but when it becomes an I absolutely have to, I have to follow that, all of a sudden there's a lot of attention and energy and kind of worry about if you don't, what will happen? If you don't, what will happen? The equal and opposite vision of what happens if you don't do what you have to do comes alive. And that can be scary, frustrating, boxed in. I just like noticing we're all free. We're free to do. We're free to question our thoughts. We're not free to necessarily not have a thought that we have, not have a story that's ingrained and set in us that we haven't questioned yet. I like how Katie says you only have 2 choices, to either believe your thought or question it. There isn't door number 3, like don't have the thought at all. If you already have the thought, it's too late, you've got it. So the only way to sit with studying that deep stress about something, or even lighter stress about something, is to actually ponder and wonder about it and question it. And notice that your mind can answer the questions. You might have an I don't know, you're not sure, but it's different than, oh, I know, I have to. So anyway, what I thought of when I thought I have to get a job, it would grip me and wake me up, and I was just incredibly filled with anxiety. And my worst case scenario was living in my mother's basement. And I found that when something was this dire and feel like such an emergency and something I was so frightened about, the best thing was to do a work with a dear friend. And my wonderful friend, Martha, who's a facilitator of the work, facilitated me. So she asked, describe that worst case scenario. What's the worst that could happen? I'm living in my mother's basement. I have to drive 45 minutes to get my kids in their same school that they've always been in. I don't want to disrupt that. I want them to stay in the same school, so I'll have to spend more on gas, and I don't even have it. And I'll be in this dark basement. It'll be horrible. And then also I'll have to share housing with my mother, and I'll be reverting back to how it felt like when I was 18 and wanted to leave the house. And I'll be mad at her. I'll be edgy. I won't feel like I have space in the house or anything that's mine. It was very interesting to play out the whole thing. What's the worst that could happen? So then we did the work on that. The worst case scenario. I have to do this or else this will happen. And I actually found, I did a worksheet. How you do the work on that is you hold a worksheet in mind with this is what has happened. I'm living in my mother's basement. I did the work on her, and some other things came out about that long drive that kind of had nothing to do with her, but that was on the sheet. During rush hour traffic, way early in the morning. We'll have to get up so early and I'll have to drive them to school. and that's what will happen. So that was my future experience, being there, imagining it, and I could write a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet as if it was the present moment, as if it was already happening, and then begin to take that through inquiry. Amazing, because what I found is, first of all, I don't know that anything is actually going to happen, but that I could question the thoughts that I had, and they were thoughts that already existed about interacting with my mother and not having a home. I thought that meant I was such a loser at the time, and wasn't being a good mom to my kids. So it was so not the case. Believe it or not, I actually, when I didn't need to live with my mother, I was almost disappointed. It was like the most amazing opportunity. What I actually did is, at the end of working through those thoughts, I did about 8 sessions with my friend where she's facilitating me. We went through the whole worksheet. So that's how long it took. And then when I was finished, I called my mother. I felt motivated to call my mother and have a conversation with her and say, you know, if I don't get a job by X date, I mean, I'm not going to be able to pay my mortgage. I might have to just move into a foreclosure on my house. Would I be welcome there? And what do you think it would look like? Here's what I'm worried about. We had the most amazing, close discussion that we had had in quite a few years. And I felt so supported by her. And I thought, wow, this could be an amazing opportunity to be connected to my mom. And there's many cultures where parents, the upper generation, lives with the next one, and they aren't all divided like we do here. And there's wonderful things about being very connected. And my children would be way more connected to their grandparents and the grandmother. And we live in this other exciting, different part of the city of Seattle, completely different area. And I just found so many advantages. I almost wanted to move there. That's what the amazing thing was. So, bringing out your worst case scenario can be incredibly powerful for doing the work, especially when you have an I have to. I have to, when it comes to food and eating, often is in the end to get that perfect body. It's almost like we just can't let go that the body is going to give us what we want. If our body is the right way, we will be free to not be worried. We will be free to not be disrespected, rejected, criticized, judged. If I get the body the way I want the body, if I hold the body the way I want it, I will get a pass from judgment. I will feel calmer. I will be happier. I will feel beautiful, handsome. I will know that at least it's not my body of why somebody's criticizing me. I will be accepted. I will be praised. People will find me interesting. Just seeing all the benefits that we deeply believe we'll have if the body looks a certain way. You can judge what you think those movie stars have that you don't have. This is in the body module. We're looking at that perfect body. What do those movie stars have? Those people that live in Hollywood that are so gorgeous. What do they have that I don't have? That I really believe in? Let yourself find it. How do people interact with them in the world? Usually it's about people. How do these people interact with them in the world? You've got a story there. I've had a story. I was shocked. I thought that if you had this beautiful, perfect body and it was just right and looked very strong, muscular and strong, that you would also have lots of money and all kinds of attention, and you could do whatever you wanted in the world in the way of work. I mean, it was weird because that is so off. It was weird how strong that was. I could have my pick. Anybody who has that, they get to just pick wherever they want to live and whoever they want to interact with and where they want to visit. And there's lots of freedom, as if you don't have that, you don't get to pick. You aren't free. You're stuck. You're a victim. You're I just was shocked to see what came out. So it's amazing to let that voice speak. It's like the 12-year-old voice, what the people get who have it the way they want it, what they have, and especially what your family of origin thinks of those perfect bodies or that thin body. So that's usually why we have to eat a certain way. It isn't always just about the appearance of the body. Sometimes it's about the health of the body. Now, what would I have if my body is completely healthy? And just really good to see what would I have? See what you would have if the body is totally, perfectly healthy, cancer-free, disease-free, pain-free, youthful, energetic, strong. And then what would you have if you had those qualities? What do you get in the world, in the human condition, if you have those kinds of qualities, of the absence of these things that we don't like? Sometimes it's the same type of thing. It's like I have all the freedom. I can do whatever I want. I can go wherever I want and do whatever. So there's just definitely a sense of I can't do whatever I want. I just can't when I have this body. So I think it is what really is noticing what I think I want. The things that I think I want are not accessible when I have this body. The things that I think I have to do to get that body are hard, difficult, painful, suffering, preventative. And it's just watching some of these stories and breaking them down. You break them down with inquiry, because we have to just see, is it really true? And you get to answer. So you might think it is, which is totally fine. No wrong way to think about it. But I just find it's like, what is this fantasy and illusion I have in my head? I say illusion, but this vision I have in my head that if you have your body the right way, if you have your money the right way, then you'll be happy. You will not suffer. So anyway, I have to. Wonderful I just loved Teresa's example of how she just lay down. She just lay down. I didn't even say she should be lying down. It's just lay down. Don't do anything. Do nothing. I always think I have to do something. When there's an emergency, an urgency, or something alarms us, I have to do something. Turned around, I have to not do anything. I have to do nothing. So often I find the mind is afraid if you do nothing, that's going to be bad. It's going to lead to bad news. But just think about that when it comes to food and eating. I have to do nothing. Like I pause, wait, feel the force of gravity, hold still, do absolutely whatever nothing is to you. It's, nothing, if you're doing nothing, you're not eating in the moment. That urge, that movement forward to eat something is a movement. It's taking action. It's doing, I have to eat. All right, enough said on that. The one other thing that I thought was brilliant, Lori M. asked the question about trust. Can you just speak to trust? And saying that she was finding she just doesn't trust, Love it. The word trust, by definition, is really like assurance, honoring something, thinking if something is true, the strength of something or someone, reliable, able, solid as a rock, we might say about somebody, unchangeable, expected. I don't know. So you see what trust is. I can trust that. I can trust the sun's coming up tomorrow, and here it comes again. It's happened a million times. 59 times per year. Not a million. All right, but a million, like in the length of the history of humanity, apparently, in my mind. All right. So what does it mean to be able to trust something? That it's repeated many, many, many times? That's interesting, because our thoughts aren't necessarily reliable and trustworthy, even though we've repeated them many, many times, right? So that's not a reason for trusting something necessarily. And I'm not saying, oh, so now we should be untrusting, like not trusting. What I like is when we say I don't trust something, we think I do not expect that to happen again. I don't expect that to repeat itself. Sometimes it's I expect it to repeat itself. I didn't like that person lied, and I expect them to lie again. So it's something about a repeated practice, either expecting that or not. Suspicion. What's very interesting about saying I can't trust whatever, depending on the tone, I'm suspicious that it won't be safe. Emotionally, psychically, physically, it won't be safe, but I'm suspicious. Like there's a gray area, perhaps. It may or may not be safe. I'm suspicious. I like just asking that, what's the worst that could happen there, too? Just like my money story, what's the worst that could happen? I live with my mother. So what's the worst that could happen with that person? So powerful. I don't trust them. What's the worst that could happen? You'll find your answer. You get the insight. It comes to you. What's the worst that could happen? So if you let yourself see that vision, that picture, and then write a worksheet on it. First, just write a paragraph or two about what you actually see, that vision or picture, this worst thing that could happen. This is what's going on. This is what's going on in this situation. Here's my situation, or a couple lines. And then Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on your thoughts. What do you want? What should or shouldn't happen? What do you need in that situation? And you can find some amazing things about that. What's funny is you can almost turn that thought around. I don't trust X, whatever it is, life, the person, my body, this food. I don't trust it. Yahoo! Or lighter, not more, maybe not even Yahoo, but I don't trust it. And that's okay. Like, can we absolutely guarantee 100% tomorrow the sun will come up? Pretty likely that it will, but we don't know for sure. A meteor could explode the entire planet Earth at any moment, and it's gone. There was a last day that the sun came up. So, don't know what's going to happen. We really do not know what's going to happen, not even in 5 minutes. 5 minutes from now. So I love being able to think I can trust that I don't know what's going to happen. But I can see what it is I'm afraid of and what I suspect and what I feel really worried about that I want to prevent, and I can do the work on that. Because I don't know is a stronger position than I know. And it doesn't mean if a person consistently has lied, oh, that's what they do, that I pretend they don't. You know, anyways, it's quite a balance there with all of it. So yeah, trusting, definitely unique to the moment, unique to the situation in a way. But I'd say definitely it's very powerful to look at worst case scenario, what will happen, and what's my suspicion. And then also holding, I need to know about this. I find that not to be true because I can't. So it's okay that there's an open-ended, not sure if I can trust it or not, and that's the way of it. All right. Lots of love, everybody. Take good care. Have a great weekend.